I know that there's some who say, well, what about John McCain? And I revere and honor John McCain's service to this country. He is a genuine American hero. But when he embraces George Bush's failed economic policies, when he says that he is willing to send our troops into another 100 years of war in Iraq, then he represents the policies of yesterday. And we want to be the party of tomorrow. And I'm looking forward to having that debate with John McCain. But you know, there is something deeper in this argument we've been hearing about inspiration. It really has to do with the meaning of hope. You know, some of you know I talk about hope a lot. And it's not surprising because if you think about it, the odds of me standing here are very slim. You know, I was born to a teenage mother. My father left when I was 2. So I was raised by a single mom and my grandparents. And they didn't have money and they didn't have fame. What they could give me was love. They gave me an education and they gave me hope. And so I talk about hope. I put hope on my signs. I gave a speech in Boston at the convention about hope. I wrote a book called The Audacity of Hope. But now some are suggesting that I must be naive. That if you talk about hope, it means that you're fuzzy-headed. You're not realistic. You're peddling in false hopes. You need a reality check. The implication is that if you talk about hope, that you must be passive and you're just waiting for good things to happen and you don't realize how mean and tough the world can be. But understand, that's not what hope is. Hope is not blind optimism. Hope is not ignoring or being ignorant of the challenges that stand between you and your dreams. I know how difficult it will be to provide health insurance to every American. If it was easy, it would have already been done. I know how hard it will be to change our energy policy because the status quo serves many powerful people. I know how hard it will be to alleviate poverty that has built up over centuries. How hard it will be to fix schools because changing our schools will require not just money but a change in attitudes. We're going to have to parent better and turn off the television set and put the video games away and instill a sense of excellence in our children. And that's going to take some time. I know how easy it is for politicians to turn us on each other, to use immigrants or gay people or folks who aren't like us as scapegoats for what they do. But I also know this. I know this because I have fought on the streets as an organizer. I have fought in the courts as a civil rights attorney. I have fought in the legislature, and I've won some battles, but I've also lost some because good intentions aren't always enough. They have to be fortified by political will and political power. But I also know this, Houston, that nothing worthwhile in this country has ever happened except somebody somewhere was willing to hope. That is how this country was founded. A group of patriots declaring independence against the mighty British Empire. Nobody gave them a chance, but they had hope. That's how slaves and abolitionists resisted an evil system, and how a new president charted a course to ensure that we would not remain half slave and half free. That is how the greatest generation, my grandfather fighting in Patton's army, my grandmother staying at home with a baby working on a bomber assembly line, how that greatest generation defeated Hitler and fascism and lifted itself up out of a Great Depression. That's how pioneers settled the West. That's how immigrants traveled at great risk from distant shores. That is how women won the right to vote. That's how workers won the right to organize. That's how young people in the 60s traveled south, and some marched, and some sat in, and some were beaten, and some went to jail, and some died for freedom's cause. That's what hope is. That's what hope is. That's what hope is. Imagining, and then fighting for, and then working for, struggling for what did not seem possible before. You know, there is a moment in the life of every generation when that spirit has to come through if we are to make our mark on history. When we decide to cast aside the fear and the doubt, when we're not willing to settle for what the cynics tell us we have to accept, but instead we are willing to reach for what we know in our gut is possible, when we decide that the next generation deserves the same chances somebody gave us, when we determine that we're going to keep the dream alive for those who still hunger for opportunity and still thirst for justice. It will not be easy, but at some point in our lives, we all have to decide, as hard as it's going to be, we are going to join together, lock arms, and go about the difficult but noble task of remaking this nation, block by block, county by county, state by state. Houston, this is our moment. This is our time. And if you are willing to vote for me, if you are willing to stand with me, if you're willing to caucus for me, then I truly believe that we will not just win Texas, we will win this nomination. We will win the general election. And you and I together will change this country and change the world. Thank you, Houston. I love you.